So this is the Samsung Galaxy S20. The goal of this video is to help you decide if you should or shouldn't buy this phone in 2021. In this video, I'm going to talk about the things that I think you should know before you buy this phone. If you want to skip to a specific part, I'll have the timestamps on the screen right now. So let's jump right in. Starting off with the screen. So this phone has a 6.1-inch screen, and let me just say it, this screen is amazing. Hands down, this is the best screen I've ever seen on a smartphone yet. It's got all the things I could imagine a really good smartphone screen to have. It has 120Hz, it also has 60Hz. You have the option to choose between one or the other. It also gets very bright and very dark. You shouldn't have any problems using this phone outdoors or at night in a dark room. It's also very sharp, looks super high quality because it's an OLED screen. Honestly, I don't have any complaints about the screen, except the curved edges. I do think they look very good, but they don't help when it comes to protecting the phone. Other than that, I think you will really like the screen. Next, the battery. So this phone has a 4000 mAh battery, which I think is a decent upgrade over the Galaxy S10, which had a 3400 mAh battery. The battery life of this phone is good. I wouldn't call it great. Again, I wouldn't call it great. My usage may be very different or completely opposite of yours. All I'm saying is you shouldn't have any problems with the battery as long as you're not a power user and you don't play a ton of games. I think you can get through the day on a single charge and end the day with maybe 5% battery left. But don't get me wrong, the battery is not bad. I'm just saying it could be better. And even if you are someone who plays a lot of games, hey, battery banks, maybe, just maybe they could solve your problem. Now, just before I start talking about the next thing, I want you to know that in the description below, I have linked some good cases for this phone that I recommend. So let's talk about the cameras. This phone has 4 cameras, 1 on the front and 3 on the back. On the back, there's a 12-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera, a 12-megapixel wide-angle camera, and a 64-megapixel 3x telephoto camera. You can shoot up to 8K at 24 frames per second, 4K at 60 frames per second, and you can also take 64-megapixel photos. So I think the cameras are really good. The photos and videos I took from these cameras look really nice. However, I did notice some over-sharpening, and in my opinion, some of these images were slightly overexposed. But because this is a software issue, I don't think this is a big deal. You can just use Pro Mode in the built-in camera app, or you could just download the Gcam mod if the over-sharpening bothers you. Also, in my opinion, the cameras in this phone are maybe even better than the S20 Ultras. Because I had 0 autofocusing issues, you also get 30x digital zoom, which I think is more than enough for most people, including me. And you also get night mode, which is really nice. However, although the base model has 128 gigs of storage, 8K video and 64 megapixel photos are the 2 features I probably won't use. Not only because they take a lot of space, but also because they're not noticeably better. But overall, the cameras get a big thumbs up from me. And if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you hit the thumbs up button right below the video. So the back cameras are good, but what about the 10 megapixel front facing camera? So I don't really use the front facing camera very often and I didn't take a bunch of photos with it, but from the ones I did take, I can tell you that it's also really good. And I like that it's small and doesn't get in the way when using the phone. So if you're not buying this phone for 8K video, I think you'll be more than happy with the cameras. Moving on to the processor, and is this phone good for gaming? So this phone is running Snapdragon 865 with 12 gigs of RAM. I'm not kidding, this phone has more RAM than my computer. But this is also a nice upgrade over the Galaxy S10 that had 8 gigs of RAM. So yes, this phone will be good for pretty much all games, including graphic intensive games. Games will also look and feel better on this screen with 120Hz. So if you're a gamer, I think you'll really like this phone. And obviously, this phone will also be fine for pretty much everything else. For example, calling, texting, emails, browsing YouTube, and much more. Next, the speakers. So this phone has stereo speakers, which I really like, and they are surprisingly very, very good. I was blown away with the audio that comes out of this phone. I compared it to the iPhone 11 Pro and there was a noticeable difference. Here, listen to this. So this is the iPhone XS. The goal of this video is to help you decide if you should or shouldn't buy this phone in 2021 or even in 2020. So this is the iPhone XS. The goal of this video is to help you decide if you should or shouldn't buy this phone in 2021 or even in 2020. I don't know if you were able to hear the difference, but in real life, trust me, they're noticeably better. But maybe I have a broken iPhone 11 Pro. Nope. I also compared it to the iPhone 11 and the iPhone XS, and the same thing. None of them were better than this phone. So yeah, the speakers of this phone, from my experience, get a solid 10 out of 10. Also, in case you don't know, this phone doesn't have a headphone jack, which honestly in my opinion is not a big deal anymore. However, if you prefer wired headphones like me, you can always use an adapter. I'll link a few in the description. So finally, let's talk about the price. So at the time of recording this video, you can buy this phone for about 700 Canadian dollars and brand new for $1,100. So I don't think this phone is worth buying for $1,100. But 700 makes more sense. However, if you wait a few more weeks, I think shortly after the Galaxy S21 is announced, you'll be able to find this phone for a lot less than 700, and that's when I think you should buy this phone. So yes, I think this phone is worth buying in 2021, and I recommend it. If you're a Samsung user, I think you'll really like this phone. If you don't like Samsung phones, I don't think this will change that. Now real quick, here are some of the smaller things you might want to know before you buy this phone. So this phone has wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, which is pretty cool. It doesn't have a Bixby button, thanks Samsung. This phone is IP68 water resistant. The haptics are really nice. The design is also really good in my opinion. And last but not least, this phone supports fast wired charging up to 25 watts. So that's it for me. If you're still watching, thank you. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please like it and subscribe. That's all. I'll see you in my next video. Later.